This week I tried a Fortnite figure for the first time, and after the experience, I was left quite impressed. Let's talk about it. One of the biggest games in the world right now is Fortnite. This hit battle royale has millions of players, many tournaments, and collaborations with some of the biggest IPs like Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and many more. Fortnite also makes a bunch of figures in collaboration with Hasbro based on their wide roster of skins. Now, I have played the game several times, but in all honesty, I'm quite terrible at it. I mean, the amount of times I'm just walking across the field only to get sniped or to end up being bombarded by a bunch of people with shotguns is quite sad. No!
When they ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
However, what I am good at is collecting and reviewing action figures, and that's what we're doing once again. During one of my toy hunts, I stumbled across the Skye figure from the Fortnite Victory Royale Series for $6 at a Target. Hasbro's Fortnite figs was on my list of figure lines to try this year, and for a deal like that, I was willing to give it a shot. As we've seen with a bunch of Marvel Legends, Hasbro has switched over to plastic-free packaging, and the same goes for their Fortnite figures. I really dig the white, pink, and yellow color scheme of the packaging because it feels fitting with the style of the game. There's character art of Skye on the left side, alongside a render of the figure on the right. The bottom of the box has the name of the skin/figure and logos, while the side shows off the accessories included. Flipping the box over, we pretty much have everything seen on the front, except the figure is rendered to scale and in a different pose with a rocket launcher. Inside the box, there's the tray with paper bags holding everything included, and some of them were taped, which I wasn't expecting to see. But now that we have everything unboxed, it's time to hop on the battle bus and take a look at the figure. Now, Hasbro did make the original version of the skin a while back, but now they've made the Ghost variant, which is the name of an organization that was involved in one of the earlier chapters of the game. In Fortnite, they're constantly making new styles for their skins, whether it's for a season, holiday, or just to give some variety. In a way, Fortnite skins are kind of like collecting action figures because there's many types, but instead, everything is digital. Taking a look at the figure, you can see just how close it looks to the actual skin, and I think Hasbro's Fortnite team did a very solid job recreating this character. Skye's head sculpt is phenomenal and looks like it was ripped straight out of the video game. You've got that oval shaped head, shadow around her eyes, short brown hair, and the green beanie with yellow wings. Everything about this head just looks clean and handled well, so I have no complaints with it whatsoever. Moving down to the body, we get a look at a lot of the heavier details when it comes to this figure. The jacket is molded in a soft plastic with a fluffy tan collar, and same goes for the cuffs of the sleeves. The jacket also has quite a bit of sculpting all over for things like the buttons, pockets, stitching, and even the pins. My only gripe with it is that the pins aren't painted to have individual colors, so maybe that's something I could add myself if I want to customize this thing. I think my biggest complaint when it comes to this body though is the color of the jacket in general, because this is way lighter compared to the dark brown seen in game. I'm not 100% sure why they did this, but my guess is they wanted something more vivid, which is understandable. Underneath the jacket, she's sporting this green shirt with the ghost emblem on it, and she's also wearing a camera. Both the wrist and hands also turned out fine. There's the typical problem of paint apps not being clean, but besides that, the sculpt looks good. She has a pair of trigger hands which work with the weapons included, and possibly other weapons Hasbro made for this line. In the game, Skye wears a tied up sweater around her waist, as seen here, and it's molded in a soft plastic with a satchel on her hip. Finishing up the details on this figure, we do have a pair of camo pants with a bandage on her thigh and a pair of boots. I actually really love how the boots turned out. It has the puffy part at the top with the laces painted in the same tan color and the grip design along the edge of the boot. For my first time trying a Fortnite figure, I'm quite impressed with the details, but do the accessories live up to the quality of this figure? Now, this figure comes with a total of 3 accessories, or 4 if you want to count the camera. She's got her backpack, sword, and a quad rocket launcher, and each of these look pretty sweet. Beginning with the backpack, it's molded in a brown plastic with some paint apps for things like the buckle, portable game, and a jewel of some kind. There's also a separate sculpt for the gold shield attached to the backpack with some teal paint for the ghost logo. In the game, there are tons of interchangeable back blings you can use with your skins, and the same can be done with this figure. At the back of the figure, there is a peg hole for the backpack to be attached, and the end result looks pretty good. Next up, we have Skye's sword, which is molded in a soft plastic. The handle and guard have some sculpting on it, and the blade is a translucent green. In Fortnite, weapons like this are used for farming materials or pickaxing your enemies just to troll them with an emote. The trigger hands on Skye hold the sword pretty well, but you can holster it on her backpack too, which is epic. Out of everything included with this figure, my favorite piece is definitely the quad launcher. I mean, you step out on the scene with this thing and it's game over. I love the different sculpted textures all over, like the chipped metal, and the fact that the front can be open and shut is icing on the cake. My only complaint with it is the lack of painted details like the dark gray color that should be on this area, or some of those yellow markings on the sides. Getting the figure to hold the weapon is pretty straightforward like the sword, and holds a nice grip on it too with the trigger hands. As I mentioned earlier, the figure does come with a camera and you can remove it from the neck by popping off the head. It has some nice colors going on for it, the sculpt looks pretty decent, and the strap is also a soft plastic so it has some flex to it. I just love how all the accessories included are things pertaining to the character, and also work hand in hand like the backpack and the sword. I do wish they included an extra pair of hands though to give the figure a little more variety, but the ones included are a great way to start off. Now, if you're going to be hitting those sick emotes on your enemies after getting the Victory Royale, articulation plays a big role, and this is what left me very impressed with this figure. Like most action figures, there is a 360-degree rotation in the head and a bit of tilt as well. Tilt going side to side and back is very restricted due to her hair, but it can tilt down pretty far thanks to the dumbbell joint. There's rotation in the arms, swivel in the bicep, double jointed elbows, and swivel and tilt in the wrist. You can also raise the arms up to hit that T-pose just like you would in the game. Looking at the rest of the body, we have a diaphragm cut with a nice amount of tilt all around and full rotation. What caught me by surprise though was the waist cut using a ball joint. This is exactly what female Marvel Legends are in desperate need of, and I have to slap myself honestly because I thought I was dreaming. I seriously need the people on the Fortnite and Legends teams to get together because this is incredible, and the sooner we can get this with more Marvel Legends female figures, the better. Both of the legs have a nice range of motion, they can be kicked out at the sides, and they kick up pretty high too. The rest of the leg articulation has thigh swivel, double jointed knees, boot swivel, and ankle rockers with tilt up and down. Going into this experience, I didn't expect the articulation to be this good, but they really knocked this one out of the ballpark. I tested out the articulation for a bit and was able to get some poses that left me very satisfied. If this is how the articulation is on the other Victory Royale figures, I'm definitely interested in trying out a few more because this one was a lot of fun to play with, and I believe others will get a kick out of it as well. In the end, I think Hasbro killed it with this figure. The skin isn't my favorite from the game, there are definitely better designs out there, but I think they did a lot of things right when it comes to the details, accessories, and articulation. I can tell they wanted to make this figure as best possible, not just for collectors, but also for fans of the game. Skye was definitely a great pickup for the $6 I spent on it, and it's also worth the $20 retail price, in my opinion, with everything that's being offered. Hasbro has a nice selection of figures for their Fortnite series already, but if I had the opportunity to pick a skin to turn into a figure, I'd pick the AIM robot because that's one of my favorite skin designs from the game. They also did a collaboration for G.I. Joe with Snake Eyes, which is a skin I own, so I might give that one a shot if I don't try any G.I. Joe figures before then. As always, if you happen to own this figure in your collection, let me know what are your thoughts on it, and let's talk about it. Also, if there's any other Hasbro Fortnite figs you recommend, feel free to let me know. Of course, be sure to drop a like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on more action figure goodness, and I'll catch you all on the next one. Peace out.